Thank you, Simon.
Mate,
Hi,
so know
guys.
that. Let me start that again. I was muted because I was
Oh.
showing you. Right, everybody, thanks for joining in. I did this the other day. Live number 26. Can you believe it? We have the amazing Sarah Black. So without further ado, I've already delayed for 30 seconds. So here is the amazing Sarah Black.
Thank you, Simon. Hi, everyone. Good evening, all. Welcome to my home. Oh my God, no, this is so weird. Okay, so tonight we're gonna do my first ever live. So thanks to Simon for having me involved in this. It's great. So we're gonna do a little bit of something a bit creative that I've rustled up. I don't know how everyone else has been feeling in this lockdown. I have been on a major creative block. Like, I've been so envious of all these people I see on Instagram and Facebook and everything like that doing amazing things with their time. But I've really struggled. And don't get me wrong, I've not felt bad about it. But when it came around to being asked to do these things, it's taken me a minute to get warmed back up again. Okay, what we're going to talk about is how I've kind of got to where I am right now on my friend here. And the starting point and then the finish point, hopefully the finish point. But if not the finish point, it'll happen on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll post all the end results at some point. Okay, so this I'm just going to get stuck in. Normally, my ideas start with one single image. And I'm actually just trying to charge up an old phone so I can get onto Pinterest because I'm trying to be like tech and stuff. Because the original image came from Pinterest, the idea. This phone, I swear, has not been turned on in about 3 years. So here we go. Let's see if it works. So let me find it. One sec. Bear with. I just realized that I could do this as we were going live.
So while you're looking for that, I'll ask you, what's the weather like in Aberdeen? Because I travelled to Aberdeen and I actually went for a drink with you. And
yes, you did.
I came up around the bars and there was topless men everywhere and it was like 17 degrees. And then where I'm from, which is near Manchester, it was like 24 degrees. So I was so jealous that the weather was so much warmer down here. But yeah, how's the weather in Aberdeen at the minute?
Do you know what? It's been so nice. Like, I mean, sod's law, while we're all stuck in. The weather's seems like it's been amazing across the country. And for the first time in Aberdeen in a while, we've got some like proper sunshine. And it's so hard to go out because I have a friend. I don't even know if you can see her in my live or not. I'm like so blind. You can't see her. So I have my dog, and so I'm like managing to get out with her, but it's like legit people everywhere, 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 and it's so hard to like not be one of those people. Like, because I'm out, I moan about other people being out. Right, I'm gonna get up to this camera here and just show you before this phone dies because I've got 3% on it. But this, if you can maybe see a little bit of it, was the original inspiration from that. Honestly, it's just an article from Vice magazine. I haven't read too much in depth about it. And that kind of just kick-started some color ideas that I wanted to do. So yesterday I kind of then delved into my stacks of magazines. I'm a hoarder for magazines. So I've got stacks and stacks of magazines that I'll buy. Not necessarily jump into straight away when I buy them, but I know when I'm looking for inspiration, it's nice to come off your phone and not be looking on Instagram because you can be so easily influenced by hair or by other people's work or whatever. And it's just subconscious because it happens in front of us. And it's nice to support our friends by following them and all that. But it's sometimes nice to take a step back for your inspiration. So I go into magazines like Dazed and Confused, Love Magazine, Another Magazine, in Fringe, like loads and loads and loads. And they're like coffee boot tables, really. Coffee table boots. So I keep them. Like some of my magazines will be from years and years ago, but I still keep them because it's not really a trend. It's more subjective, and I can still be inspired now today from back then. So I whipped up this mood board. Right, I'm gonna hold it up a little bit, and then I'm gonna put it behind me. What I've done. So this is kind of like, hopefully everyone can see like quite well. So we're working with, now this is obviously all has been very dependent on what we're working with because what I've got at home, like with the lockdown. So I had a wig that I've worked on multiple times, and kind of ended up, the final time I coloured it, it was red. And then I kind of put a slight pinky hue into the red for the last shoot that I did with it. And I think I worked with that wig like 5 or 6 times, and I coloured it every time and changed it. And now it's at the end of the road, and it's like clinging on for dear life. So I've taken it shorter now. Ever since Fendi did this cut, it was Sam McKnight did wigs for Fendi last year. Ever since I saw his like rounded bob page boy bowl cut kind of look that he did, I was like, right, I want to do it. And precision cutting is not my thing at all. Like, don't do it. Terrified of it. It's so much like I'm here for texture because you can hide things with it. Because cutting's just like, I'm much more free, and to follow something technical is really hard for me. So I thought, right, challenge myself in lockdown. I'm going to do this haircut. So I did half of it, and then yesterday or 2 days ago, I think I finished it because I knew the live was coming, and I was like, right, I'm going to use this. So this is the red that we're working with. This is the base color that I had on it already. And this is the cut that I've now put into it. Don't inspect it too closely, thanks. And then what I wanted to create was kind of like shine panels, essentially. And the idea came from the tie-dye image. And then when I started to research into more visuals for you guys, obviously a lot of them are on my phone, but I wanted to have a proper visual for you guys to look at. So kind of playing with different elements of light and dark. And then on tone, when I come to work with color, I don't stray too crazy with the palette. I generally stay quite, if I'm going to do red, I'm going to do red, maybe a little bit of orange, maybe a little bit of pink, or just different depths of red. That's going to be it for me. Like I'm not going to go and throw loads of color in there. It's just not my style. But when I put the clothes on is when I can then throw in maybe like red next to blue or red next to green and really get something popping. But I don't actually like to put that color in the hair. So we're going to be working, I'm going to take a picture of this, and I've taken videos of it, and I'll put it up on Facebook and Instagram later on tonight or tomorrow. But this is just going to be our palette of working with different elements of like lighting, and using it to enhance the shape that I've put in with that kind of page boy bowl cut. Okay, right, I'm going to pop this up behind me here, so hopefully the dog is terrified of it.
So while you get set on that, I'll ask a few questions for you that are personal, because we in my salon in Burnley, small tiny town, we love. I love doing mood boards, so I make my staff do these mood boards, and it kind of brings us on. Do you sort of do everything, because you do a lot of competition work, don't you? So is this basically your focal point for everything?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like the drive behind everything is getting to do stuff like this and stuff for like photographic work and show work, which I've been really lucky to get to do a lot of in the last couple of years since College Trophy, like we were speaking about before we went live. Like that kind of like, and then I was on ID with you, Simon. So that kind of then became like a lot more of my world, if that makes sense, which was exactly what I was working towards, exactly what I wanted to be. Now, I'll do a mood board for pretty much anything that's like creative. If it's on my phone, I'll do one on my phone. Like I'll do one on, if everyone's like iPhone, you'll get the Pages app, and you can pop together a little mood board. That's the quickest and easiest way to actually bring everything that you've pinned or saved on Instagram or screenshot or whatever, and bring it all together and actually start to get like some clarity with it. Otherwise it just gets muddled because you've got so many different platforms with lots of different images that you don't know how to bring together. So if you can't do it for reels, like, and you don't have, you know, the magazines that you want, or you've seen something online and you can't print it off or whatever, like I would have printed those off today if it was like, if I was in a position to, and I was making a physical mood board, I would have printed those images off of Pinterest and put them on the board so I could live it. Like it's weird, but I keep them all. I've got them stacked away in the back of my wardrobe because I just like to keep them. I think it's a memory of something as well. Like it's, and then it also just inspires you to do the next thing. So that's like for me is it just pushes me to do more and more when I do things like this. So this is what we've wound up with when I've done my pre-lightning. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I've done. I didn't want to stand here and pre-lighting for you guys because it was super simple, and it would have just been, it was super simple. I've taken pictures along the way, so I'm going to post everything, so you guys can get it. But we've ended up with these two panels of lightness. I think you can see that all right. Now this is super, really fortunate that it's actually lifted really nicely. Like I could leave it like this and probably be like it could look all right. It's not what I'm going for, so I am going to obviously color it. But you could, because this had a red base and then I've pre-lightened on top of it, it's given me this kind of like nectarine, like apricot kind of finish to it. Now the way I went in with my bleaching application was I took out my segments. Now when you've got a cut like this, I want to see how it's going to naturally fall. So I'm not going to score in like a quarter section, and I'm not going to work it like really technically. I picked up the hair as it fell after I'd styled it because I want to see exactly where. So I wanted that prominent one there, and I wanted an even more prominent one here. So when I picked up these sections and pinned them all out of the way to color, I brought the section back, or that way, whatever, either way, around the head anyway. Left the root at the top the same, so you can see in there that we've got like a bit of a root in here, shadow, and then brought that round towards the end. Now, because of the way that it was going to sit, I want the ends to still remain the same red color as the base, because that's going to then make sure that I'm keeping all the strength in the baseline of that. Oh, let me just mute my phone. Hang on, sorry. Getting like, here we go.
So is this like the definition of a shine line sort of technique?
Yeah, it is. And but what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to go around the whole, because you could do it, and that was how I initially, I've actually got some color in the back here that I started to kind of do a little bit of that, but it just came out way too soft. And it wasn't, as soon as I did it, like as soon as it lifted and I did it, I was like, this is not what I'm trying to go for. So I instantly put in like two segments separately. And as I put that in and brought all these sections around, the first section, because I didn't want it to be dead harsh, so when I post pictures, you'll see there's a slight like diffusion here. So I put my first packet in, which was a weave, left a little bit out, and then blocked in like back to back with my sections. Then on the outer section, I did the same again with the weave, left out a heavier piece of the red, then did the weave, backed it out, then did the weave on this edge. Because I didn't want to just create two lines of colour, but when you see it all, you can see a little bit of that diffusion. So that's what I went for, leaving out the ends to kind of create that absolute definite shape in my base cut. You could take it right through to the ends. You could do it on a bob, where you would have like that maybe in the fringe if it had bangs, and then the more prominent section right down as like a face frame, kind of like an alternate on a face frame if you were going to do it that way. But what I'm going to do color wise on top of it is I want to mimic that kind of pinky tone and like an orangey color. So, and this is where I like kind of experiment as much as I can when it comes to formulas and that. But again, working with minimal colour because I don't have any. And then when I looked last week to order, everything's taking like, Prime doesn't mean anything now, which is fine, obviously. But, everything's taking like a week or a couple of weeks to come, and I just missed it by a couple of days. So what I'm going to work with, it's just kind of, it is really coincidental that I kind of have what I need. So for my pink, I'm using a brand that I've never worked. I bought this for myself when I went pink like a little while ago, and I've never used it. So I'm using Arctic Fox Virgin Pink, which is like quite a vibrant hot pink, maybe I would describe it as. So I'm going to use a little bit of that. Now to kind of subdue it, and this is my favorite trick to do, and it's just simple color wheel work, is I generally subdue a lot of my colors with its like neutralizing tone. So I'm going to put in a little bit of a green from Crazy Color, which is Line Twist, my hair color. I'm working with what I'm working with. So I'm just going to use a tiny little bit of that. And then because we're working with such a peachy orange base, I'm going to put a tiny splash of the electric, what is it? Electric purple, electric violet. Just say, God, yeah. Electric purple, electric violet from Colourful Hair L'Oreal. So L'Oreal is my brand.
Now like turning over thinking, please don't mix all these brands together. All these brands now that will be thinking, oh my God, she's mixing all these brands together, but I can't wait to see what happens.
Sorry, I honestly, to be honest, I am like a bit of a rule breaker when it comes to product, but I wouldn't generally mix so many brands. But it's direct dye, so we're kind of like, we're okay. It's fine. That's how I'm going with it. So I'm going to put in, and again, I don't have scales in the house. And to be honest, when I work with Vivids, I generally don't, that was incredible. I generally don't work with scales because you can sometimes put in the most minute piece of color and the scales won't pick it up. So it's hard to track. So I generally will work in like ratio form. So I'll do like 1 dot to 5 dots to 10 dots. And that's kind of how so at least you're kind of, even if my dot and your dot are 2 different sizes, you're still going to use the same ratio. So that's generally how I like to work, just to kind of keep it simple. That's if I track it. I'm terrible for just getting in my head, getting all creative, mixing stuff up, and then I'm like, oh, I don't know how to recreate that because I didn't measure it. But I'm trying to get better at all these kind of things. So I've done the prominent. It's going to be the pink shade. I'm putting a tiny dot of the green in. So we're probably working like 10 to 1 here. And then I'm going to do even less. I'm doing half of the purple because I'm just using that as a little bit of neutralization to cool everything down a little bit. Yes, it's orangey. I would use a normally blue, but I don't have any. So we're going to work with what we're working with here. And it'll still kind of give me a decent result of what I'm looking for. So we're going to mix that down. And that, let me just show you. We can put Paris in. So we're working with the Vivid. And now it's taking it down a lot deeper and cooler, if that makes sense. So it's taken away the edge of it being totally vivid and taking it down. And that's generally what I like to do with all my Vivids. I don't ever, the brightest hair I do is on myself. I don't ever do any crazy stuff. I think people see my hair and think that I'm going to be all over that, but I'm really not. So first I'm going to take, this first section here is going to be my pink shade. The section in the back, I'm going to be working with Dialight L'Oreal, and I am going to be working by the rules. So fear not, L'Oreal, we're okay.
A couple of questions for you. Sammy Kerr, who was on our RD team. Where do you source your wigs from?
So I get my wigs from a place called Bargain Lace Wigs. I actually nabbed it off of I think Sophia Hilton and her team used them. So I'm not going to take credit for finding it. Honestly, like they're incredible. I have I've just bought my third wig from them, and I actually managed to get it in quarantine, like in isolation. So I ordered it on the Saturday, it came on the Wednesday. They're still taking orders. Now, obviously, it's an expense, but for me, I kind of went with the dilemma of, am I going to buy dolls' heads? I think Casey Coleman, he sent me a link for one that was like 50 quid. Which is obviously amazing, and he tested them out. So he like color tested them and then kind of gave us the go ahead that they were really good on Instagram. But I just thought to myself, like, I'm gonna do something on a doll's head. I'm gonna strip it out. I'm gonna do something else. And I don't really want to photograph dolls' heads all that much. So I'd rather put more time and effort into just doing something on a wig, and then when we're out of this like nonsense, we're gonna like I'll shoot it. I'll take it and I'll do a photo shoot, or I'll use it on a show or something. Yeah, like yeah. I'd rather. Okay, I think I pay about 200 quid for these wigs. Hence why I use it 5 or 6 times. Like I am not in any position to be dropping 200 quid. I'd love to keep them all. I absolutely would. Just gonna put in a little bit of conditioner into my pink, just because I want to dilute. I've done my first section deeper, so that's again gonna add to the transition. And then I'm just diluting, and then I'll probably dilute as I go through until I reach the edge. Obviously, you can use a clear in your colourful products, but you can just pop in a bit of conditioner, we'll be fine.
So for those of the new followers that have just joined in, I'll just recap where we're up to, because this is Sarah Black, and she's live in Aberdeen. She's doing her first live for us, so thank you very much. It is sunny in Aberdeen, I have asked. And my sort of like point that I want to make to it, people might not know this, but you are basically, for me personally, in my opinion, an exceptional creative colourist. Because I've seen your work for years, and not only that, Loreal agree with me because you have won the colour trophy.
Yeah.
What year was that?
2017.
Yeah, I remember it because it was with. I remember my friend being there, Ross, at the time, and that's how I met you.
Yeah.
Ross. Before the ID team, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Anyway, but I saw your work then. It was Linton and Mac in Aberdeen, which is the salon that you used to work for. We'll go more into that in a bit. But I mean, talk to us about your colour trophy. What was it like?
Oh my God! Like it was incredible. Like it was so. So I started at Linton and Mac in the January of that year. So as you'll know, Simon, as well, and a lot of the guys on tonight, I'm sure will know that you go through, you enter in like the January, the February, your photographic entry, and then you go, if you're successful, you get into the regionals, which is in the April, and then, so on if you get to the final, which is in June. So it's kind of like 6 months, spanning over like a 6-month period, really, where you're kind of working on it. Now, I walked into Linton Mac in the January. Now, I'd worked one other place in Aberdeen, and I'd been there forever. I trained with them, like I did all that stuff, but I just knew that I was going to be like pushing to kind of get out of Aberdeen at some point. But I knew that by being in one salon and being in a cotton wool, like I wasn't going to hack it. Like I wouldn't have survived. So I thought, right, it's time for change, and I really need to like light this fire under my ass to do something, to do what I want to do, because I just felt like I never knew how to get there. If that makes sense. So I started kind of finding out, and I was like a late bloomer. Like finding out about Colour Trophy, finding out about ID artists. Like I was seriously like late to the party with all this stuff. And that's why I've kind of really like milked every minute of it, because I'm 30 here. Like we're a lot of people in this position, are their early 20s or mid 20s, and Not that that means anything, everyone's different, but I kind of just think I want to absolutely make the most of this. So when I started at Linton I came in and said, I want to do colour trophy. And they said, right, fine, sure, go for it. Present your idea. So that's when I kind of just had to prove myself. I felt like that because a lot of people, I knew my boss, I knew she'd been bigging me up. I was terrified to let this like reputation that I had like in little Aberdeen down. So I was like, I've got to prove myself. So I went in and presented my idea for colour trophy, and yeah, literally got the best possible outcome. It was incredible. Like, and it's the best thing that's ever happened. And it'll probably be the most exciting. I don't really like. Yeah, it probably will be one of the most exciting nights of like my life because I know that sounds crazy dramatic, but when it's something for the first time and it's like the adrenaline and the excitement and the fear and everything that goes into it, I think when you start to learn that circuit and you're in that arena a little bit more, it does change ever so slightly because you're kind of aware of how you're going to feel. But that to me was just like so fun, so fun, and I had the best time doing it. Like, and this is the sad thing because I think I would probably drive myself insane if I ever entered again. But I really am like, oh God, I wish I could. I think maybe one day, you never know. But at this point in my life, like I just think I've done it. I've got like 100% success rate. Like I don't want to go back and not win and be really disappointed. Like I know that's like a bit of maybe a bad mentality, but it's the process is so fun. So that's kind of as well why I like to do all this kind of stuff, like when I can, because the process of starting a look, building a mood board, all that was just so fun, and it's given me so many opportunities as well. And I then went on to the ID artist team with Simon and a bunch of other 60 other people, which was just incredible. Like best 2 years, had so much fun doing that. And yeah, like honestly, like the competition arena, as much as it is, I never found it terrifying. If I'm honest, like I'm pretty good at putting myself out there. Like I'm pretty confident about just having a shot. But a lot of people would be scared by it. I know you enter, Simon, right? And you've been in the final.
I've been in the regionals 10 years in a row and never got to
Yeah.
the grand final.
No.
I know, mate.
It's so tough though. Like, I mean, God, maybe I'm glad I just did it the once.
Yeah.
Like, give me 2 secs. I'm gonna actually just run off and get some developer.
While you do that, I'll talk to the. If you were experiencing a bit of lagging there for 30 seconds, that was my fault because I tried to treat you all to the winning image that Sarah Black created for the colour trophy. But my computer is not powerful enough to handle it, as you all experienced. It kind of doesn't like me doing 2 to 3 things at once. So apologies if there's any lagging. I was just explaining to everybody that if there was any lagging then for 30 seconds, that's because I tried to treat everybody to putting an overlay on the screen. I'm kind of getting all technical now in my older age, and put an overlay of your colour trophy winning image with you holding. I've got the picture somewhere, but my computer can't handle it, so it's not good enough.
Honestly, yeah, it was so funny as well because after I won, I mean, this is like funny, just a funny story. Literally, everybody thought, and I found this out months afterwards. I think everybody thought I was absolutely trashed when I won because of my reaction, and then because people were coming up to me apparently, and I do have recollection, but people coming up to me afterwards and they just said that I literally just like mumbled and didn't really, and I wasn't. I remember every second, and I was compos mentis. I was drunk, obviously. Come on, colour trophy. But I think I was so thingy with like excitement and emotion and adrenaline and everything that I literally just couldn't actually control what was coming out of my mouth. So, I mean, last year was a different story. It's different when you're not competing. But okay, I'm gonna just quickly update you what I'm doing here. So I've popped in my pink section through the front. So that's the smaller section. I put that one first because this next part of the journey, I don't want to leave on for too long because I want to subdue this brightness ever so slightly. So I'm working with L'Oreal Dialite 743 on its own. Now, ideally, I would have had something a little bit to intensify it, but we're working with what we're working with. So that's why I'm not going to leave it too long because I'm going to allow it to work with like the vibrancy of what's underneath. Now, this is like, as much as this is creative, like generally, you know, you can fully like do this kind of sectioning in the salon and create such little pieces of shine and definition in a client's hair without it being crazy. Like, it doesn't have to, like, I think you're going to see once this is done, it's not going to be like vivid by any standard. But if you pop this into someone's fringe or into someone's like bob, or just to give a little bit of creative color, you know, for somebody that's wearing maybe more of a precision cut or sleek cut that wants to experiment with color, but they're not going to get the full effect with like balayage or, you know, pieces or anything like that. This can be there. I actually do this on a client with blue, but we bleach sections of her hair. She's like a natural base 5. We bleach sections of her hair and then, but generally like underneath and kind of hidden, and panel it. And then I put a blue all over the top of it. I put a blue all over the top so her natural color gets like a stain, which looks really cool. I love using direct dye on like natural. And then she gets it done like twice a year in terms of the lightening, but she just tops up the blue herself at home. So there's no actual maintenance. So, you know, essentially you can look at someone like that who may be creative with like zero upkeep other than a little top up at home. She'll sometimes pop in for a little toner. But if you think about somebody with blue hair, you're instantly going to think that they've got this huge maintenance. But if you're clever with your placement and where you put your pre-light in and where she's going to get a root and all that kind of stuff, then this can be that's in the salon 2-3 times a year. But getting something cool, getting something fun.
So if the colour trophy wasn't enough, it's as if you're a natural born winner, mate, because you've then got on to the creative head magazine's It Girl 2019, was it?
Right. My ego is going to be so big after this, and I've got no one to vent to afterwards. That's sad. Right. Yes, I won. I won Creative Head It Girl last year. Yeah, 2019, which was just like, oh my god. Do you know what? I think I've been 3 times now to Creative Head Awards, and I've entered and finalized the last 2 years. Before that, I went to support like a couple of friends and my boss and that, and it's such a great night. Like, it is very awardsy. Like, I don't get half as drunk as I do than I do at Colour Trophy. So it's very awardsy, but it's like the level of people in that room, and to feel like you're beside them on some level. Like, the year that I was a finalist, I was so buzzed, like so buzzed. And when I won, I was like, God, no, sorry. When I didn't win that year, I was like, who cares? Like, oh my God, I'm here. And then last year I took home It Girl, which was just incredible. And it was Adam presented me that award, and you know, I've admired Adam for so long, and we've managed to work together or worked on similar projects at the same time. And you know, he was a judge at my Colour Trophy, and then now I'm going to work for him, and it's like I feel like it's just all been very like surreal, full circle. And Creative Head had been a massive support to me since I won Colour Trophy. They're just such a great bunch of people, and the awards, like, again, people feel really intimidated going for that kind of stuff, and it is hard to put yourself out there because you're kind of saying, yeah, I'm great, like, you know, that's what you kind of feel like you're saying, like, oh my god, I'm awesome, like, enter. But do you know what, when you actually sit down and reflect on all your work over the past 12 months, it's so rewarding. Like, you forget about so much stuff that you've done. And in salon, I'm not talking always about like extra creative work, but when you look about training that you've done in the salon, or things you've learned, or people that have come to visit, or shows that you've done within your salon, or anything like that, it doesn't have to be wild. Like, you can still do this on, if you're not comfortable doing things like on big scale, you can do little things in your salon. It's just like, it's so nice to sit back and reflect about that kind of time and feel quite proud of everything that you've either accomplished or at what point you've got to in your career. That's how I feel about it anyway.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
no easy one to enter either, is it, Creative Ed? Because I've entered it once, and you have to put a portfolio together. It's a lot harder than any other sort of competition where you just send an image.
Yeah, months. Like, I mean, the first year I did it, I wasn't going to enter it, and then I kind of got like a recommendation to do it, which was surprising. And then after that, I spent months, and I had to do it myself. There was no budget. I've never done it on a budget, actually. Let's say that. And I've done it 2 years in a row, and I've not used the budget apart from what I put it into. And you can get them back. And then I just did the same entry like 2 years with the same like book. That's what you want to call it. So I've never spent any money doing them, but to sit and write about yourself, oh my god, it's awful. And you've got to sit and compliment yourself and like talk positively. And then I don't know, Scottish people are definitely like we go in on ourselves and we take the piss out of ourselves and we don't take compliments and we don't like praise or all that kind of stuff. Like, it's a genuine, I don't know what the difference is between English and Scottish. I know that we're like that. Whether you guys are like that, I don't know. But it's just like to sit and have to do that. So I did get help the first time writing or rewriting because everything was a double negative. And it was like, I didn't think I was going to win, and I thought I was going to win, and maybe. And I was like, this sounds terrible. Like, this sounds awful. So I got somebody to help me kind of rewrite it more confidently. And then last year I kind of just then reworded her words, and I just felt like I pretended that she was writing it. And I just like praised myself for like straight like 2 months. It was insane. But yeah, it's definitely a fun environment to go in on for sure.
I've just shared your Instagram on the page for everybody again for the second time. But it's what Sarah does. It's on the picture now, as you can all see. Someone has asked a good question earlier, but I didn't want to stop us in our flow of competition chat.
Sorry,
it's my fault. Mary Ann Milne, who's earlier said that she's one of your biggest fans on Instagram, has said, what is the red colour that you've used on the wig?
Okay, so this is a question I knew was going to get asked, and I don't necessarily have an answer for it because it was actually, before I did this, it was green. So I did it. It starts like this. Let me show you. So this is a new one that I've got. So this is how it starts, like really raw yellow. So I put it to copper, and then I took that out and I made it green. So when I actually did I did it green, red, and then green, and then what I did, so it was green based, so I just neutralized that out with a pink, like a deep magenta pink, and then I was left with something kind of similar to this. But then what I do, and I do this on my clients as well, so this isn't just like a wig trick, is I just took the red lipstick from Loreal, the Colourful Hair range, and I mix it in with a little bit of warm water in a bowl and gradually add more and more and more water. And then for a wig, obviously, I kind of just like filled up a load in the basin and dunked the wig in. Obviously, not dunking your client's head in a basin of water is going to be a little bit harder to do. But on clients, I would do that, and I would fill it into just like a colour bowl, and I would gloss the hair by pouring that over at the backwash just as a finisher, because honestly, you get the most amazing amount of shine. almost just layers another dimension on top. So this was quite stark, like red when I did it. And this I used like a magenta over the top of it just to kind of give it that almost slight magenta pink hue over the top of the red. But what I'll do is when I take pictures, I'll try and explain as much as possible everything that I've used. And these kind of situations, like when you're going to do, if there's anyone that's out there that's thinking about doing like not color trophy, but like ID artists, like Simon and I were on ID artists. I think we overlapped a year, but we did that program together. And anything like Fame Team or any other brands, I'm not sure. But this is the kind of process that you're going to go through. You're going to find an idea, you're going to make a mood board, you're going to then develop something that's not necessarily commercial. Majority of what people enter with is quite, I mean, it is more commercial nowadays because everyone's a bit more daring nowadays. But like it's you know what I'm trying to say. So a little bit less commercial, and then you're going to present it to people. So when you're coming up with these kind of ideas, people don't know where to start. So that's kind of why I like to do these kind of sessions when I'm doing teaching or anything like that, is to kind of develop somebody's taste and develop somebody's idea, because a lot of people don't know what they like. And the amount of people that I'll speak to that don't know what they like if they had their own way, if they had to do whatever they wanted. So for some people to think, oh, I'm not creative, I'm not creative. And I think as soon as people say that, they instantly put a block on themselves. But if in a session like this, it's plucking out an idea. And I'll do this on my courses and stuff where I'll get them to do their mood board, get them to swatch out colours, then to do a final look, because it's kind of going through that process of finding what people enjoy. And that's always what I find when working with assistants. And, it's partly being quite young and thinking, oh, I can't do that, I can't be creative. But as soon as you actually break it down to simplicity, you don't have to be like eccentric and mental to come up with this. You can come up with like a trend-led idea or an art-led idea or whatever inspires you. And that's why I like to do these kind of sessions.
Well, just to sort of like summarise where you're up to now, because we've gone through your whole career in basically 45 minutes, but we've gone from sort of like this small town girl, if you will, feel of Aberdeen Salon, to Linton and Mark, to winning Colour Trophy, to winning Creative Head, to now taking the plunge and moving to London prior to lockdown.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So yeah, I mean, this has been my it's been my focus, I guess, for the last like 15 years or something like that. But I kind of just got comfortable, and that's the fear, I guess. And once you get comfortable, you think, well, why bother changing it? And I worked for Saks, so I was with like a big kind of like franchise salon before. And I was so comfortable with them. I grew up with them. I was 18 when I started, and I kind of came up through there, and loved everyone there. Had such a great relationship with my bosses, but I just knew, I was like, if I keep in this rut, like not rut, but you know what I mean, routine, I'm gonna just wind up here forever. And that's not what I've ever wanted. But it's just easy. It's the easy option. So then I left to go to Linton Mac, which was terrifying, which is weird. I'd never been a long time since I'd felt that. To walk in where you're the new person, and you gotta kind of. I actually hate meeting new people. Like, it's so weird for my job. Hate is a strong word, but it makes me really uncomfortable because actually, like, everyone thinks I'm super confident, but actually, when it comes to meeting new people, I really struggle. So, all these people out there wanting to do this kind of stuff, everyone else is doing the exact same, probably feels the exact same way as well. So, yeah, and then about 3 months ago, I realized that it had been almost 6 years. I did like a little stint in Asia for a couple of years, and I realized it had been 6 years since I moved back, and I was only planning on staying for like 2 or 3. So it was time to go. It's time to get out. And I feel like I'd done all I could in Aberdeen, and I feel like I've done what I can. Yeah, I feel like I've done what I can up here and without being in the mix of everything. So it just seemed like the natural next move for me. And then as soon as I knew that Adam was opening the new salon, oh my god, I was like, right, this is it. This has to be it. Because to work with somebody like that, it was just like, oh my god. And then to also be embarking on a new adventure with like loads of people, that seems really exciting to me. Like everyone's in the same boat. We're all going to be new together. The momentum to make the salon successful is going to be so high. So yeah, I'm really excited. Although this is, changed my plans ever so slightly, I'm still so excited. Like I've not been like disheartened at all by it. Because these things happen, and all it is just like a delay. We're gonna get there eventually. But yeah, to work with someone like you've worked with Adam on X Factor, right?
Yeah. I've worked with him a couple of times now, and I love him.
Yeah, he's just such a good energy, and like we get on really well, and I think to be able to be around someone like that who I can start to learn from, but he doesn't stop. Like, and I need to start pushing myself and progressing and getting out of my comfort zone and to learn more from people. I think once you get to a salon when you've got people coming to you for everything, and honestly, I've said this a million times, and I don't mean that in like an egotistical way. It just is what it is. Like, I'm one of like a group of us that are more senior and more experienced and have done more, and that's just the way it is. And now I'm like, I want to have that next person where I can go to and learn from and push myself and not get stuck in a rut, because I think that's super important. And obviously as a salon owner, like you go out and you do a lot and you work with loads of people and you do stuff for Matrix and X Factor and you did Loreal ID Artist, and that you've put yourself in positions where you can learn and like push yourself. But you've got your own salon. But I'm obviously free as a bird, so I can just up and leave. No time.
It's not all everyone thinks it is on in a salon. I would much rather be employed, but in my town, the opportunities weren't there, so I made my own. That's the way I word it.
Yeah. Thing is, like that's the way it is, and that's the way it is for a lot of people. And I think that I will always, as far as I'm aware, I never want a salon. I've never wanted a salon. Like, and I think that's also like not a fear when I walk into work in a salon. There's no fear of me going, right, I'm off to like open up around the corner, because it's not a dream for me and it's never been, because I know, and I've watched it for however many years I've been doing this, like the amount of work, and I don't mean work because I'm not shy of hard work, but the amount of work that I don't want to do, like accounting, business stuff that doesn't appeal to me in any way, shape, or form. You never get a day off if you've got a staff, like, and I respect and appreciate that it's like super hard work to own the salon. But yeah, for me, I'm like, let me just do some painty fun things, and then I'll go home at the end of the day. And I still come home at the end of the day and do more work-based stuff with what I do and with shows and working with brands and stuff. But it's just different to owning a salon. You'll get that. Right, this is where I'm at. So, I've popped on the back section here, which is going to be our kind of like duller orange tone, coffee orange. So I've used 743 Dialight in L'Oreal with 6 ball. Now, the pre-lightning section was just pretty much, it was kind of almost to the root and then about an inch or two from the baseline. I've brought that all back. I've kept it open packet just so you could see, and we're not going to transfer into anything. And then these front packets, which I've been pulling out, so they look messy now, are the kind of pinkier tone. So I'm going to get all this rinsed off soon. And once I've dried it and stuff, I'll take pictures and we'll be uploading. But I'm going to refer back just a little bit. This is exactly where like everything comes from me. And I'm going to be doing a live with Creative Head on Friday, and I've done a digital mood board. But what I'm going to do is, because again, we're in this situation with using our phone, I'm going to go through my magazines tomorrow and try and relay as much of that mood into a physical mood board so I can kind of like talk through it. So these are the color palettes that we're working with. I'm going to post everything on picture on Instagram. I guess Facebook too. I never use Facebook, but I'll do a little post into the group. So working with these different line bands and shine bands, and you're going to see exactly like all these come through on that page boy cut, introducing a little bit of pink and a kind of deeper red as the base, and then that kind of more terracotta orangey color in that band. But as much as I keep saying, it is going to be relatively commercial when it comes to people that are up for a little bit of something. Yeah, you're not going to have every client asking for like shine bands, but if you've got any clients that have got cuts that are always worn straight, can't have a balayage, but want excitement in their color, something like this, something small, 2 pieces of color is going to be enough, and that's going to last. That's going to last 2-3 times a year. They're going to be in the salon. Yeah, you're not going to. It's not a high income of client coming in, but you're going to charge because they only come in those 2 times a year. So you're going to like charge for a creative color, but then also them coming in just getting a root touch up. You're offering them something more, and that is like the key to kind of keeping busy and keeping a high clientele is not getting complacent, and we all do it. Every so often, if I've got a client, I find that we're doing the same thing over and over again, I'll kind of go, right, so, because we all do it, oh, what are we doing today? And they say, oh, just the same. And one day, I think it was at Click for Me like a couple of years ago, I just said, right, do you want to do something different today? And she went, well, yeah, actually I do. I've been thinking about it, but I just didn't really know what I want. And then it's like, it opens up a discussion. They might say no, absolutely, like, just do my roots. I want to be out with you in 45 minutes. Like, and that's fine. But if you wait for your client to ask for something, it's probably never going to happen, like a lot of the time, especially those clients that have had the same thing for so long. So I'll find that I just ask them, I'm like, anything different? Come on, like, what? And they're like, no. I'm like, totally, I think fine. Maybe next time, And I start to introduce ideas. So I'll talk about it. Although we're doing her roots and her colors, yes, well, maybe next time we can do. So your client that has like a sleek bob and has a regrowth tint or doesn't get any color, that's even better. She's a cut client. And you go, oh, why don't we just put like a little bit of something in here, and it'll just be like super low maintenance and blah. And it really, we get addicted to color. So that's also what you've got to like prey on, the fact that they're going to want a bit more, a little bit of this, or a little bit of that, and they're going to want to change it up. So this is where I can see things being like, although they're creative and it's on a bowl cut or a page boy, whatever you want to call this haircut, yes, you're maybe not going to have her walking into your salon, but you are going to have similar clients that are up for something, but they're just not telling you. And you can do it on a color palette that's obviously caramel, brunettes, blondes, whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be vivid. But yeah, that's just like, this is going to be a little bit of an interpretation of how I would approach a creative color. But yeah, you can definitely, I think that's always the focus, is how do I make it commercial? And that is how I think. No problem. Right, I think I need to go and rinse her, but I think I'm gonna have to, I guess I'm gonna have to go. This is weird. I've never had to do this before. Yeah, so I'm gonna go and rinse her off, and then as soon as I'm gonna be done, I'll try and take pictures in the light if there's enough left. If not, if I feel like they're not justified, and I'll also just probably show the difference between in artificial lighting and natural lighting tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. It's been amazing. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
No, you're welcome.
All right. Guess I'll go and take my client to the backwash.
No problem. Well, I'll sign Sarah off for you, but Instagram is what Sarah does. I'll try and get the pictures off of her hair socials as well. But I will finish the broadcast live now, so thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks.